It's just Bruce, he don't bite. Hello?
Here comes another resin how-to video. This one is more like what not to do with reusable molding compound though. Let's get started, shall we?
Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today we're going to do a resin video. I'm going to show you what not to do. Last week I did a video about a reusable molding compound that you can use over and over and over again to make molds. And tried to answer a lot of the questions from years before that I've been doing this. And of course there's more questions, and I'm here to answer them for you. Number one question I got is, what kinds of resin can you use in it? Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you go into my channel and click on playlist and the resin casting videos, you'll see how to make your own reusable molding compound. That's what we're talking about tonight. Anyway, people keep asking, what kind of resin will it work with white resin? Will it work with concrete? Will it work with plaster? I've explained in that video, no, it won't. It's only for clear resin. Tonight, I'm going to show you what happens when you dump white resin into this molding compound. Just to settle an argument, because people are telling me it can be done. No, it can't. And we're going to learn why right now. Okay, I'm up here in the corner now. Sorry if I seem a little non-energetic today. I'm not feeling so well. I haven't been feeling so good for a couple days. But I'm fine. Probably just a cold. Okay, let's get started. We're going to use white resin today. And what I like to use is this here. It's called Let's Resin, polyurethane resin. It dries white in about 10 to 15 minutes. It's got about a 2 to 3 minute pot life, depending on how warm your environment is. If it's pretty cold where you're working, a little bit longer. But it's best to rush when you're using this. I hate rushing, but if you don't, it starts curing on you and then it's worthless. So I'm going to measure this. This is an equal part resin, A and B. I'm going to measure them out into these little glasses I have here. As you can see through the magic of video editing, I've measured out my part A and part B. I do have another mold that I want to pour. I'm not going to use this in the video. I'll pour this off camera. But I'm going to fill this and then we're going to put it in the old mold. This is the reusable molding compound. This is the older stuff. I think it's about 2 years old maybe. This particular mold has been used 3 or 4 times and it's still working. It was working, but it's ready to remelt and make into another mold. So I thought it'd be a good time to test the theory whether I can use white resin in it or not and show you the effects. So let me pour this first mold here and then we'll pour that one. Mix together my 2 halves. Part A, part B. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and mix these up. I'm sure you know how to do that if you're watching this video. If not, you could look at my previous video. And I'm going to pour this mold off camera and then I'll show you that. Okay, I poured my first mold. Now we're going to fill a few of these up here. I'm not gonna bother using the eyedropper or the syringe. I just want to show you the effects this has. And if you want to know what this mold is, it's actually Christmas bulbs for those ceramic Christmas trees. Now notice I'm wearing gloves. I try to wear gloves, especially when we're using white resin. You can get a heck of a rash from this resin on your skin. So I try to keep it off my skin. I'm just filling a couple of these. I'm not really being any system, method, or madness. Just so I can show you what this will do. I'm not even concerned with the quality of my product coming out of it because I won't be able to use it. This is just extra resin for me. Actually, I had a lot more left over than I thought I would. This is why you should always keep a mold around. I'm throwing away about quite a bit of resin. I don't like to do that. Okay, now we wait 10 minutes. I'm going to let that go. I'll fast forward through it. You can see a time lapse of the resin drying. So it won't take that long for you. Enjoy. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see what we got. Here's my regular mold. That's good. We'll set that aside and deal with it later. Okay, like I said, when you put the white resin in this, let's try to take this one out. Well, it's not quite cured yet. I always do that. I always get a little anxious, take it out too early. But here it is. And it is kind of proving my point. It is a little bit soft. I could have waited a little longer, but that wouldn't have mattered. Same thing would have happened. So let's take these out here. And I can feel, first of all, the resin is all, it's like got a texture, a bubbly texture to it. I'm not worried about destroying this mold. I'm going to remelt it. So let's just tear them out of there. There's two. And you get the rest out of this. I'm not even worried about the shape on these. Like I said, I knew the mold was worn out. So we're not looking at the shape. We're looking at how the resin actually came out. You see, it's a lot of the molding compound is sticking to it. It doesn't do that with the clear resin at all. And no, mold release will not work on this. So it'll actually taint your molding compound. What happens is this resin heats up too hot. And when it heats up too hot, it actually melts your mold. Because remember, this is basically just glycerin and gelatin. And we melt it in a microwave, so of course it's going to melt the mold. It heats up. There's nothing you can do about it. The clear resin, some people say it does heat up. I don't think it does. If it does, it's so unnoticeable that it doesn't matter. Now, this molding compound is just ridiculously sticking to what I'm pulling out. Here's the mold. You can see what it did to the mold. It totally annihilated the mold. Every place we put one in, it totally stuck bad. I had to rip it out of there. That's okay, though. I can melt that later and use it. But all my castings sitting here, if it's coming up on the camera, I don't think it's coming up very good on the camera. But if you can see, they're all textured. They're all like bubbled out. They're not smooth. I couldn't use that if I wanted to. If you picture that on a bigger thing like an action figure or a bust or whatever you might be working on. Now, like I said, I'm not worried about the shape of the objects. Right now it was an old mold, and I kind of figured they wouldn't come out good enough. I just wanted to show you the reaction you get when you use white resin in the reusable molding compound. I don't know how close this is getting or how clear it is. You can see the molding compound stuck to it. If that was the only problem, it wouldn't be a big deal. But what I'm looking at is the outside texture. And like I said, it's all bubbly. It like had a little reaction with the molding compound. And I couldn't use these if I wanted to. They're just not very good. Yeah, the heat from these obliterated my mold. I mean, it was barely usable when I started in the first place. You saw that, and I admit that. But the heat just really just melted it. It stuck to my pieces. I can't use any of these. Figured I'd ruin one real quick just to show you guys at home what not to do. A few people had argued with me saying, oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can use white resin. Nope, and that's why. So one more thing I'd like to show you before I end this video, and that is how to color your resins. I use a couple different techniques. If we're just talking about white resin, if you want to color it, I use this. It's called mica powder. And this is red I'm showing you here. And as you can see, it's just a very fine red powder. And you just put maybe a thumbnail sized dot in the resin you mix up. You can use it on clear resin. You can use it on white resin. It works pretty good. When I'm using clear resin, I always use acrylic paint. It just seems to be more vibrant in my opinion. Yeah, don't use acrylics in your white resin because it just will have a bad reaction. There are oils you can get. I don't use them, so you have to ask somebody else about that. Remember I said about how the mica powder, if you're using a dark color, it'll come out light. Like that was red I just showed you. It will come out pink if you use it with the white resin. This is actually a project I made with black. And as you can see, it came out, you're never going to get black because the resin turns white. So what I did get was a pretty neat machine gray. And I was kind of happy with that. Not what I was going for. But, you know, you experiment, you try it out, you see what you can come up with. And if it makes you happy, then you know you got something good. So that's about all I have for you today. Thanks for stopping out and seeing my videos. If you want to learn how to make the reusable resin, check out my channel and go to the playlist. There's a whole bunch of resin videos I've done over the past few years. You get to see younger me. Yes, that's me without the beard. So, hey, thanks for stopping out and happy holiday hobbyists. Bye.
Thank you for watching, and we hope the video helps you in your crafting. And to answer the question everyone is asking, no, I'm not standing here naked. Good night.
It's just Bruce, he don't bite. Hello.